Hello all, welcome to lesson 8 of the Rook Endgames series. This lesson is going to be about the short side defense. Well, if you were surprised with the stats from the previous lessons where players were not able to draw or win those positions, it was really a surprise. Well, you are going to be shocked with the stats I can show you today with this one. This is more or less a known position. This is similar to a Philidor position. And if it's white to play, well, this is going to be really easy. We just check the king moves. Now we deliver another check with the pawn, and the king moves again, check. The king attacks the rook. Well, this is pretty basic. Next move we are going to promote. There's nothing black can do about it. Well, let's say it starts to check our king, then check again, and something like this. Now we attack the pawn, so we are able to promote. So it's pretty basic if it's white to play. If it's black to play, well, the correct move is to go to f1 or to g1. G1 also works, but the best for me is to go to f1 to go behind the pawn. So I think this is the perfect situation. Please don't make the blunder of coming back to b6, like confusing this position with the one where the king is still on g5. We are going to see that. But let's start this with the stats. I'm going to change here to Chessbase so you can see. Well, these are the moves over here that either black or white play in this position. These are the games. Let's order the games by the L or from the black players. Well, if it's black to play, it's a draw. If they know what they are doing, it's a draw. And you can see here, well, I won't say this game is a good example because it's a blitz game, so we don't know for sure if the over 2600 player just quit or lost in time. But let's check here. It's black to play and not able to draw, and we're talking already about almost a 2600 player, and we can go here and it's black to play and always losing, black to play, black to play, black to play, black to play, and so on. I will come back here to show you more because I think it's amazing how players were not able to win on this position. So but we'll get there. Let's first learn about the technique. So now it's black to play, and as I said before, the best move for me is to go rook f1. So the idea is we are going to play with the short side defense. So when the king comes in front of our pawn, so it's threatening checkmate, we either go to one side or to the other side. And honestly, I have seen very strong players, and I mean above 2600 going to the wrong side. Yes, because if we go over here, well, just check, the king is forced to move away. Now we bring the rook to help protect our pawn, and now it's just a matter of maneuvering the king. If the king approaches, it's not impossible for them. We just check, the king is forced to move away. Now another check. This time the king is going over here. I showed when it was white to play, the king going to the other side, then we just push the pawn one more time and it's easy. Now let's see what happens if the king goes behind. Well, we simply advance the pawn again. Now we place the king in front. Now we move the rook to a8. So the idea is going to check the king away from the pawn before promoting, and now check, the king moves away, and now we just come back with our king, and after a while it's impossible to avoid the promotion in the next move. So we are happy to win this one with white. So don't make the mistake. Also, I forgot to start showing. This is a Philidor position, but normally we start Philidor position with a black rook over here and maybe the king over here, and so we are going to see. And sometimes we advise, but the king is on g5. We advise to go the rook to the sixth rank, so cutting the king, forcing the pawn to advance. But here is a big mistake, because if you do that, the pawn advance in a perfect situation to win the position, because now we are threatening checkmate, so the rook needs to protect. We are going to the rook to the other side, so threatening checkmate from the other side. So if the king approach, we simply check with the pawn, the king moves, check, the king gets away, and then we get the rook and an easy win from here. So let's go to the main line. So the rook comes here, and now white threatens checkmate. So the king goes to the short side. This is the technique we are going to talk about. From here, there are many ways that white can try to force. Let's see some of them. Let's see, for example, if I start with a front check, well, we just come back. Now threatening checkmate again, I repeat. So every time I get to this position, I move to the short side. So if I got some check, no worries. We just move to h7, and the rook comes back. We just waste one tempo, or we go. For example, we can defend with f2. But my main recommendation over here is we get to the defensive side checks. Remember the lesson, and so we are ready to get a draw from there. Other moves possible over here, we can simply check the king, so going to h7. Here, let's say, for example, the rook comes back. Well, we just get back again, and after a while, the rook is going to threat again. So we always keep the king near the short side. I am going to show this after also playing against the engine. You are going to understand this better. But it's easy. If the king is threatened, we go to the short side. Again, we come back. And so white is not able to progress. Here, we simply can come back to f8. So the rook checks again. We go to the short side. Now, there's no threat of checkmate. So we just waste one tempo with our rook. So going to f2. Then if we are checked, and then we come. This is important. If the king moves away, so to help the pawn advance, we simply get the g7 square. So avoiding the pawn to progress without being confronted. And so now we get the front position. This is again a Philidor position. I have my king in front of the pawn. The rook is behind, so able to deliver checks from the distance. And so after a while, we get a draw. Let's see also what happens if we start with going to g8, checking, the king coming to the front. So another threat of checkmate. So the best defense is to go again to the short side. So we go to the short side. We are going to see, when I show the stats again, more mistakes from top players. And the king goes to h7. So now it's going to be a bit harder because the king is in front of our king. So we come back to the defensive side checks position. If the rook comes up, so freeing the back rank, then we go there. And we are now playing a back rank defense. This is an easier back rank defense. Why? Because the pawn is not a central pawn, it's a bishop pawn. And against a bishop pawn, we are having always two squares to go, and it's easier for even if you start, for example, with the rook on c8 and white cutting the rook, well, we always have one more square if the pawn is a bishop one. That's why I'm saying this is easier, not to confuse you. And over here, well, we simply can come back with the king, again going in front of the pawn. This is not yet a Philidor position, because if the pawn advances now, I am able to deliver the side checks. Okay, so white tries to keep the same defense, but now we are playing a Philidor. This is exactly a Philidor defense. We are in a perfect position, so we just need to bring the king in front of the pawn, and this is a draw. Okay, let's come back to the start, and let's move here to play against the engine. Let me just change here the screen so we can practice a bit. Okay, we are playing against the engine, so we are watching the board from black perspective. So the pawn advances to this side, and it's black to play, and we move, of course, behind the pawn. Let's see what now white plays. Let's hope this is a bit slow, but okay. It goes in front of the pawn, so I have two options because I am being threatened to be checkmate. This is a big mistake. And so I go to the short side, I got a check, so I go to h7. Because white is not making any progress, I just waste one tempo. Okay, it delivers a check, I come back. Of course, I'm not going to go to f8 to get checkmate, so I waste another tempo with my rook. Again, the same situation. Okay, so I keep wasting tempos. I am getting check, so I go to h7. Now the king moves to the side, so this is the different situation. And if I get a check, I go into the first. As you can see, the positions are going to repeat. I am threatening to deliver checkmate, so I move to the short side. I waste another tempo with my rook. I come back and I come back, and so after a while, it's going to be a position drawn by repetition for sure. So here I waste another tempo. Now the rook has freed the back rank, so I go back with my king. Okay, here I can even play this one. And as you can see, it's game over by draw by repetition. Let's start again. So again, white is playing to promote the pawn for this side. So I get back again. The king goes in front, threatening checkmate. So as you can see, we start to play this in almost autopilot after a while. So we just need, and nowadays that chess games are faster, we really need to be able to play this almost without thinking, because that's when the blunders came. And I think I have proven you that this is not going to progress anymore. So let's jump for the fun part. Let's see what happened with the top players. Let's change here again to Chessbase. Again, I am using Mega Database from 2023, so not the most recent. Probably things are worse at the moment. I don't know, but maybe. And as you can see here, only Rook f1 and Rook g1 check from the black playing, it's a draw. And as you can see on the first situation, we got 85% playing Rook f1, should be 50, and we got 94% if it's Rook g1, and it should be 50. Let's order this already. Let's see some games over here. Let's start with this one. Let's see what happened. So we are seeing a player with over 2500, in fact 2578, and he played going to the back rank defense. Now it's white to play. It played rook f7, also not the best technique, because here we are playing the Philidor position. So the best move is to advance the pawn. Notice that now black can't remove the rook, otherwise it's going to be, it can't remove the rook because otherwise it's going to be checkmate. So it needs to stay in a passive defense, like for example going here. So now we threat checkmate from the other side. The king comes, we simply check. The king needs to go back, check. The king is forced to move away. We get rook, this is a win. So as you can see, neither player was playing well, not just the blunder, but also the continuation was not perfect. Of course, he was able to win in the end, but as you can see, it was not perfect. Let's see another one. No, we don't want to save. Let's jump here just almost random. Another above 2500 player. Well, he started with the right move. Then the king came in front of the king. And now just watch this. What a blunder. What a blunder. Moving away from the short side instead of going to the correct move. Sorry about this, because sometimes I am explaining with chess.com. Now I'm moving to Chessbase, and the keys are different. So the king should have come to the short side, as we saw, but no, it made this blunder, and of course it's a check. The king moves away. We bring the rook in front. Let's see how the game continue. Well, this is just a bit a question of wasting some patient. Now we are playing Scipione Lucena position, and the pawn will advance. Now we resign, the pawn will advance. It's going to be easier. This is the Lucena position. But as you can see, okay, let's not make mistakes over here. Let's just close this one and come back to the stats. But as you can see over here, this was so if black is to play, this should be a draw, and if it's white, it should be a win. But you can see over there that even if white playing, it's not a win. So uh, and notice this. This is really shocking. But we can see more. We can just move the position to a mirror position. Let's just mirror to the other side. So here the right move, of course, it's Rook C1. Well, not that many games over here. So let's see this from black. But again, black to play and losing, and we're talking about an almost 2400 player and so on. Black to play and lose, black to play and lose, black to play and lose, and black to play and lose, and so on. This is really shocking. And let's see another one. Let's see now if we change for black to play. So here it's white to play, and the right move should be rook c8. Let's see what we find over here. So with white, well, also not many moves over here, but as you can see down here, we got two games where white started and still lost. Notice that they fall into this here over here. They fall into this because this looks like a Philidor position, but we are forgetting the king is not on b4. So it's not the same. We should pay attention. So the right move, of course, over here was to go to c8. But let's not stay here much more. Let's see just one final one. Let's change this to the other side. Let's see what we find over here because we are going to see a surprise. I already checked this one before. So with white to play, let's just see. Well, as you can see, with white to play, we got many failures. This is really incredible. How it's possible? The most common end game to get so many top players missing the technique. Let's see just this one. We are talking about over 2600 players, so it's white to move. So the right move should be rook coming to f8, but let's see what happened. Well, check. Well, okay, this is still a draw, but we need to pay attention. Now we go to the short side. Well, that's good, still going to the short side, so we are keeping the technique alive. But now look what the white is going to do. It goes to the other side. Now the king comes down. Now the rook checks and the rook blocks. And now we should go, if you remember from the back rank defense, we should go to a1, not play smart over here, okay? Not play smart. And what happened was the white player went to a3, so allowing the king to reach the back rank. And after a while, well, the mistakes are going on because now you were able to recover, as you can see, and again. And so we are just playing with fire. And after a while, the blunders were so many that in the end was like a roulette and see if it's a draw or a win. It ended up by having to the black to win, but as you can see, this is really shocking. So this also reinforces the importance. Let's come back here to the main screen. I don't want you to waste more of your time. I hope you have enjoyed. So remember the importance of studying Rook Endgames. And this answers the question many times why some players are able to force draw end games into wins, or they are able to save losing positions into a draw. Hope you have enjoyed and see you again in future lessons. Bye bye.